Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome on behalf of Polycab ITP Media. The second wave of COVID 19 has hit us hard. And this time, a lot of us have been pondering about our ways, our life, and the lifestyles we live. Technology has helped us tremendously in these testing times and has aided us to adapt to what we now call the new normal. People are now focusing a lot on self development and comfort. The line between home and office is blurred, and people now feel the need to have things at the touch of their fingers. And that is probably why smart automation is gaining popularity. On this occasion, it gives me immense pleasure to have gotten the opportunity to collaborate with one of the most forward-thinking brands in the electrical segment, Polycab. Polycab has been a market leader with a revenue of over 88 billion, making them the largest manufacturers of wires and cables in India, and is also the fastest growing FMEG player. Today, I'm delighted to be seated among some of the most prominent names in the industry and welcome you all to this very special panel. A very warm welcome to architects Amit Gupta, Abhigyan Nogi, Sonali Bhagwati, Mr. Nayan Raja, and of course, Mr. Manoj Verma, Executive President and Chief Operating Officer, Polycab India. The product that we're going to unveil today is going to revolutionize the way we look at smart automation. Called Hohm, it's a homegrown portfolio from the house of Polycab, developed on an indigenous platform and 100% manufactured in India. Without taking much time, I'm going to hand over the conversation to Mr. Verma. Just a little surprise for our lovely viewers. We have 3 prizes to give away at the end of the session, the hints of which are hidden in the conversations to follow. So keep those cell phones aside and all eyes on the screen. Over to you, Mr. Verma.
I would sincerely like to thank the panelists and all the participants of this particular webinar. Thank you very much for having taken time. Work from home for some is a relief, but for most is trying times because it is work for home and work from home. So to that extent, you had to double up. We from Polycab have collected and got together from the house of Polycab a portfolio which I would say is not a portfolio of products, but a portfolio that is a package of experiences. And what it is something that I would first have you have a glimpse as an audiovisual. So can I have the AV, please?
Alexa, open curtains.
Okay.
Imagine a lifestyle tailor-made to pamper you. Introducing the Hohm Smart Automation Solutions from Polycab, which transforms your house into an intelligent home, where intelligence is aesthetic, where functionality meets efficiency. Where comfort knows the warmth you wish for. Where technology spins a tale of tranquility. Where romance is orchestrated at your command. An integrated system which lets you control your home from any part of the world. Alexa, turn sleep mode on. Now, set the desired ambience, set daily schedules, and quite importantly, monitor your power consumption. Now, give your home the aesthetics it aspires and the intelligence it deserves with Hohm Automation Solutions from Polycab.
So that was a glimpse of what home is all about and what home can do to a home. Can I have the presentation, please? So what I would do now in a couple of slides, I will just walk you through very quickly what Hohm as a portfolio from the house of Polycab presents to you. And what has been the objective of Polycab while evolving this particular portfolio? We've been at work for the last, I would say, 6 to 9 months, where we figured out what is it that a consumer wants. We figured out the trends, and we tried to create an experience where, of course, the product is the hero, but nevertheless, it is the visual emancipation of what the products can do on an automated IoT-based platform is what we've got together, and that is what I'm going to present to you. Next slide, please. Say Hohm. Hohm is all about an experience of life related. And how do you do that? It's basically a platform that offers you an elevated convenience, which means you are able to do whatever you wish to do and at any point in time that you wish to do with the electrical appliances that you have in your home. Elevated comfort to each occupant, his or her own personal preference of wanting to operate the electrical gadgetry in a home the way he or she wants to. And last but not the least, an elevated lifestyle, because what Hohm offers you via the products is creating an ambience, creating an atmosphere, creating a kind of a rhythm or a symphony of the various electrical appliances that one uses in a home to create a world for an individual. And how does that happen? Automation system allows a designer to design a living space which obeys the command. It is a system that offers you control on the comfort, convenience, and entertainment. And the biggest USP that we are in a position to offer here is that this particular platform, or you can manage or configure or operate your home at any time of the 24 hours and from any place in the world. And how does that happen? All automation systems which are internet based operate either by touch, and especially in the Indian context, I may give whatever kind of automation that I may do, but there is always the need of a manual override. That is basically because we have elderly relatives and we have our parents staying at home who are not as tech savvy as one may want to be. So that's where the need for a manual override is important. We have our own homegrown proprietary mobile app called Hohm, which is both compatible to iOS and Android. All the equipments under the Hohm portfolio are voice activated. Next slide, please. So what does Hohm offer? Hohm is nothing but a platform and a package that offers you smart controls to do things the way you want them to happen. How does that happen? It happens via the mobile app, where the Hohm app allows you to configure every electrical appliance in your home onto an integrated intelligent platform, and allows you to configure, allows you to tune, allows you to align, and allows you to operate the way you want them. All the equipment and the entire portfolio is voice activated. So you could use Alexa, you could use Google Home. It is possible for you to create scenes and moods the way you would want them. You can schedule the operation of the various electrical appliances in your home. And last but not the least, the biggest, I would say, plus point that we are in a position to bring to the table is you don't need to do any rewiring. The existing electrical wiring can have the home appliances and the home automation platform integrated onto it. Next slide, please. I'll very quickly run you through the portfolio that we have introduced in phase one. So we have a complete portfolio of integrated switch panels. They come in all kinds of configurations: 2 module, 4 module, 6, 8, 12, and 16. They are either touch, they are voice, or they are mobile app compatible. We are giving finishes that would suit this background and the kind of finish that you would have given to the interior. So you have a granite, a marble, a brick, a concrete finish. So what we are saying basically is, while these are the 6 to 8 options that we have launched, but over a period in time, I would give you a color palette on the website, and you could decide the kind of a plate finish that you would want on the switch panel, and I would be in a position to give it to you. So what we're basically saying is, this is a range that would be a designer's delight, and that would be the buyer's delight as well, because he or she can then have a completely synchronized home. What are the facilities and what are the features? It is Wi-Fi, it is on-off, it is feather touch, it is voice activated. You can on-off, you can dim, You can also operate curtains on this, motorized curtains. So you have practically all automation facilities and adaptabilities and compatibilities of it. Next slide, please. There are two important components as accessories that the entire Hohm platform is based on. First is the IR blaster. The particular IR blaster, the Hohm Mirai, this is one of the few IR blasters that is compatible to 80,000 plus remote control appliances that are getting sold across the world. So if I may say, you name the brand, you name the equipment, if it is remote controlled, the Hohm Mirai will be able to configure it, and you can have then that particular equipment voice activated or mobile app compatible. The second is the smart plug. The smart plug is nothing. You have a conventional device, plug it on to the mains via the Hohm smart plug, and their device becomes smart. It becomes configurable onto the Hohm platform, and you are able to then operate it. For example, you have a geyser, you just plug it in through the Hohm smart plug, and the geyser becomes smart. So you can operate it, you can switch on and off, you can schedule it, you can time it, and configure it on your mobile app. Next, please. There is a range of lighting products. So lighting is a very, very versatile portfolio that we are able to offer. There are buttons, there are panels, there are downlighters, there are bulbs. So all kinds of lighting applications that one may have in a home. And one more product that we're going to launch by the month of August is the LED strip. So that's an RGB LED strip, which normally gets used in lighting of homes. Gives you 16 million colors. It has a color palette onto the app, so you can decide whatever you want to do. Next, please. Ceiling fans, we have two models that we have launched in the first phase. The Hohm Stoles, again, comes in two versions. One is the smart version, which is basically on-off speed control. And the second is the intelligent version, which basically is a fan that senses and aligns its operation. What do I mean by that? It will sense the temperature and vary the speed. It also has a nature mode. By nature mode, what I mean is it has an algorithm in the electronics whereby the speed of the fan varies in an unpredictable pattern. So it assimilates breeze coming in from the window of a home. And that's a mode, and research says that that is a mode in which people feel far more comfortable. When I say this, I'm basically edging on to the third element. Earlier in the conversation, we said, earlier we talked of energy efficiency, then we talked of smart. There is a third conversation which has begun, which is wellness. So the nature mode actually offers you an element of wellness. Next, please. We also have a geyser, various capacities, 10, 15, and 25, fully intelligent, fully smart, programmable, scheduler, everything that you would want to do. Why Hohm? And what is it that Hohm makes it unique in its own way? First, all the electrical appliances under the Hohm platform talk to each other. Second, there is a geofencing feature, which means that if you have a home installation at your home and you have the Hohm app, which is installed onto your mobile, then you can define that the moment you enter within 1.5 kilometer or a kilometer radius of your home, depending on your mobile and the artificial intelligence that one will be able to gather over a period in time of what is the personal liking of, say, for example, Manoj Verma. The moment I am within 1 kilometer of my house, everything electrical will get set to my personal liking. The curtains will shut, the air conditioning will come on at the temperature of 24, the geyser will be on, the fan will be at speed 1. So everything, and the lighting would be in the mood that is my personal liking. So there's a geofencing system. All the electrical gadgetry is operatable and manageable from a single app. When we launched this particular portfolio, we felt that the customer is going to ask for a dedicated customer care from the time of installation to maintenance. Because when something electronic is getting installed, the first question is, in case it fails, what? So we've already created a dedicated customer care team, which has been trained. So they will partner a consumer from the time you make an intent to buy an automation system, to recommending you what you should buy, to help you buy it, to deliver it, to install it. And if you want, maintain it overnight. So that's another unique piece that we have done. The last point is all our switches are adaptable to your personal requirements. So you can make a knob which is a fan knob to a light knob to a curtain knob. So it is, you can incorporate the me factor into whatever room or whatever house that you are wanting to design and align based on your requirement. Next, please. What we did also is typically 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom apartments. So we said, why don't we try to create packages of automation which are basis the budget of the buyer and basis the segmentation of the project which you as architects would best know. We have created 4 packages: the basic, silver, gold, and platinum. So each of them would offer automation to a point. So we have 4 options in each configuration. So if you really see here, from a 33,000 rupees for a 1 bedroom basic solution, you can have a fully loaded, intelligent, smart home automation package for a 4 bedroom at 315,000. It is a portfolio which offers you solutions for every straight out society, every segment of a project. While I've shared with you the products that we have already launched in phase 1, in phase 2, which is by Q3, we're going to enhance this with curtain motors, gas leak sensors, occupancy sensors, IP cameras, smart door locks, some more lighting products. So by the end of Q3, Polycab would be in a position to offer you under Hohm a portfolio which would be absolutely end-to-end. So from the time you enter your home to everything electrical that you use in the home, you will have Hohm as a portfolio offering you a solution. Hohm basically is a portfolio that from the house of Polycab we bring, which is something that it is very easy for you to own. It is very easy for you to install, because while we have the portfolio, we have very elaborate audiovisuals which tell you exactly how to install, how to configure. It's a portfolio that will allow you to enjoy and experience a life elated. Before I close, I would like to share with you one point, that in our commitment to be able to offer you as designers and consumers who would want to experience home at home, we have acquired a IT IoT based automation company in Bangalore. They are domain specialists. They work on platforms and offer completely integrated automation solutions. Thank you very much for the patience. And this is what I had to share with you. Vibhor, over to you.
Many, many congratulations. I, of course, went through the press release. It is fabulous that you know that you acquired this company. And I think people out there in audience, you must see, and the way Mr. Verma talked about is absolutely devouring to know there is such a great technology, a great product coming. So this is incredible, Mr. Verma, and I'm sure our panelists would agree. Home is the present and future of smart homes. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hand the baton to our moderator, Sumish Gilotra, the editor of Architect Interiors India, one of the ITP Group flagship publications, and even if I may say it myself, one of the most respectable industry magazines on architecture and interior design in the industry. Sumisha herself has incredible experience and has been writing on architecture and interiors for over 13 years. I'm going to let her take it on from here. Over to you, Sumisha.
Thank you so much, Vibhor, for the kind words, and congratulations, Polycab, for the launch of this revolutionary product, and a very, very warm welcome to all our panelists. It's great to meet each one of you virtually, and I look forward to some fabulous insights on the topic of discussion today, which is smart technology for smart homes. When we talk about smart technology, we cannot not mention the name of our young panelist and the man behind the 890-acre Eco Park Delhi and many large projects across the country, architect Amit Gupta. Amit is the founder and principal architect of Studio Symbiosis and has a long list of international awards, TED Talks, and landmark projects to his credit. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Our next panelist, Sonali Bhagwati, is a partner at DPA, a Delhi-based design firm that has several architecture and design projects across categories in North India. Sonali is an advocate of good design that is sustainable and impacts human experience positively. Next, we have Abhigyan Neogi, the principal architect of Chrome Design Studio, a firm that is known to create spaces that are joyful and logical. He has a long list of awards to his credit that includes the iGen 2020 by Architect and Interiors India. His landmark projects include some fabulous restaurants like our favorite cricketer Virat Kohli's 1-8 Commune, Inox Theatres, Innova 8's co-working spaces, and some really high-end residences in India and abroad. Also on our panel today is Mr. Nain Raheja, Director of Raheja Developers, one of the leading real estate powerhouses in India. What many people don't know is that Mr. Raheja is also an architect from the School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. Welcome, Mr. Raheja. We also, of course, have Mr. Manoj Verma, who is an industry veteran and has significant work experience in sales, marketing, and operations across top companies in the electrical segment. He's the executive president and COO at Polycab India and is driving the FMEG business unit to great heights. And on that note, I think it's time to kickstart our discussion. Just a small note for our audience. We would like to make this discussion as interactive as possible. So you can type in your questions in the chat window and I will take them as and when they come. I would like to begin with the most pertinent question. And this one goes out to you, Abhigyan. What makes smart automation a necessity? And why do you really think we need automation?
Basically, 10 years back, we were doing a house and then we were building it for an old couple. Interesting story. And then they said that it's too complicated for us to understand. And please provide us basic touch and feel so that we can operate it. So what has happened? And then I forced them that no, you can. It's very easy, and don't worry. You will have switches. You will have an iPad. You will have iPhone. In the end, it is not the device. It's how you can manage things. So what is smart is the integration of automation to create multiple things that you can't do in a single touch, right? You can switch on a fan, but you can't switch on the fan and close the curtain with one button. So the beauty lies in the programming bit. The beauty lies in how in the evening everything dims and the sheer curtains get drawn and you have a different ambience of the place. So I had to convince them that, listen, don't worry, just let's go ahead with something like this, and then we will be able to negotiate through this. Now, after say probably 6 or 7 years of using that system, they would say, wow, this is,
life-changing.
they never thought that this is also possible. The possibility of dimming in someone who is in his age of 50 is like, there is only one switch on and off, and there's a range of lighting intensity which is possible, is something which is not conventional. But a certain kind of so then eventually, so what I've realized that what is smart is how you integrate things and create multiple moods and scenarios. It's not smart to turn on and turn off, but probably link 5 things together to create an action, call to action. So I feel a lot of people understand automation as just a communication device, but probably a smart home, what we are all talking about, is how we simplify our lives. And with a call, we are all using Alexa or Google these days. With a call, you can start controlling things. Although interestingly, it might also react differently. So at times my Alexa doesn't listen to me. I don't understand.
We've all been through that.
So that's like a fun bit. But yes, so I can ask Alexa that why don't you set the mood for a date, and then multiple things happen at the same point of time. So probably I feel that is what the transition has happened. Now it's given. Now it's like a lot of products and devices have come that you will feel that it's expected for a light to dim. It was not the scenario, say 5 to 6 years back. So now it is given that yes, if you have a bulb, there should be a probability of dimming it. And then what Manoj had just introduced, that the control has now gone from the system to the device. So the system, initially we had to integrate a Lutron or a Crestron or something, install LAN cables to every device, and we had to figure out how to communicate to that device and install a second panel. And then it became like someone said that, why am I doing all of this? I can just switch on or off the button. I don't need this. So as soon as we've eliminated the wiring bit and the control has gone into the bulb, it's a chip that's integrated in a bulb or a geyser or a plug. And so that is what's liberated the use of automation. So you don't need to start having an heavy wiring system to figure out whether this system is possible or not. So if every device that you have can communicate to a central device, so and you've eliminated say intermediaries, and now so that's why it's become more pertinent and usable, so it's become more friendly. So I've changed all my bulbs in the house because it's an old house. So I said, okay, fine, I can't do automation, but obviously I can change all my bulbs and I can communicate with them. So that's what's happening. So that is what we are also trying to advocate to people, that now its life is very simple. And the differential between a communicable device and a communicable device is not that much. So just for a basic understanding, kind of an LED downlighter, if it's for 600 rupees and you have it integrated with the chip, probably you'll add 20% or 30% more to the value. But then you will be able to save, you will be able to do a lot more than that. So that's
absolutely, Abhigan.
So
in fact, I will come back. Yeah, I will come back to this point of saving energy with you, but let's just take this discussion further. Yeah. So I want to take a piece of what Abhigyan said initially about using the smart devices smartly. So this question is for you, Amit. They normally say you don't become smart by using a smartphone. You have to know how to use it smartly. So as a designer, how do you think you can use smart automation in a smart manner to get the kind of impact that you're looking at?
See, before, as architects, we like to question everything. That's how we design. So before we discuss why smart, I think we should discuss why smart. Smart technologies, for me, is required for two things primarily. One is human well-being. Mm-hmm. Second is to create a sustainable environment for the residents.
Absolutely.
So these two things are very critical. So now coming to the first thing and what we are all discussing is really scratching the tip of the iceberg for me. Mm-hmm. Because what we are speaking about is manual controlling, voice controlling, all the smart devices are there. But there's another realm to it, which is, of course, data collection. So the data, if you're living in a community and you start doing joint data collection, let's say the appliances and the objects and the environment, it changes and adapts to you. It's a tailor-made environment for you. So when, let's say, Sumisha enters a room, it changes and adapts to you. And by doing this, of course, energy reduction is a very big part because we're using optimal resources which are at our disposal. Now, second part of this, of course, moving from AI, the second part is digital also, because digital and physical have clashed very majorly in the last months. It was there, but now it's really clashing and it is fusing into each other. So second part is that this automation and all these smart homes, we can also place them in metaverse. So we can create a 3D metaverse where so we are actually working with the Digital Village for a project in Amsterdam, where we are reworking an old warehouse to create to refurbish this, let's say. So the idea is not to first create a physical prototype, but avatars, we are creating simulation systems, we're creating everything in digital. Then we do simulations, and through the simulations, we identify which are the smart systems which need to be brought into the physical, and these are integrated. Now, the third thing is, of course, sustainable environment. So things which we took for granted, which is air and water, have been challenged in the last years. The mask was not introduced to us by Corona. It was introduced to us, at least in Delhi, because of air pollution. So this is because as humans, we have extensively used our resources without really thinking about the future. So by creating smart homes, so Mr. Verma spoke about intelligence in systems. So, and through creating this tailor-made smart homes and creating a community living by creating a circular economy where you actually produce energy together, you grow things together. So there's a sense of empowerment for the residents. It belongs to you. It's not something which you just turn on and off. You know the amount of manpower or the energy which goes in, even the electricity which comes through a bulb. So I think it's really empowering, which can be through data, IoT, through apps. So you know how the systems are flowing and the data is flowing. So it's really about this well-being and about creating a sustainable tomorrow. That's, I think, for me, which is very important, using technologies like AI and all the other things like data mapping and stuff.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the question that I'd like to ask Mr. Verma about energy efficiency. You spoke a lot about the product that you've introduced. Does smart home or smart automation really help us save energy? And if yes, how?
So, Amit made a very valid point. How you make smart things smarter by using them smartly. So, the catchword there is using them smartly. And he made a mention of AI. So let me just place on the table the platform that we are working on. Over a period in time, we are going to offer you an option where we know one thing for sure: mobile has become a permanent part. The mobile is going to go everywhere that you would go. So the mobile is going to actually duplicate you onto the platform, which means the usage of the electrical gadgetry in your home is going to get mapped and tracked to you as a user on the database collection. And after 6 months of trending, the AI will be able to create an algorithm onto the home platform, which will sense the entry of an Amit or a Abhigyan or a Manoj Verma into the house or the room and automatically start adjusting things the way you would want them. So the curtains would be half drawn, the lights would come down to 30%, the air conditioning would be at 26, the fan would be there, soft Beethoven playing. So, AI is going to play a very, very key role. So you very rightly said data collection is going to be key. And finally, we are saying voice, we are saying touch. But at the end of the day, if I can have things in my house operate the moment I enter, is something that is going to be there. Coming to your point, Sumisha, on energy saving, we can have as high as 50% energy saving if we use automation systems smartly. That's the kind of magnitude we are talking.
That's a lot.
There are also smart products coming where you can reduce the energy consumption by more than 50%. For example, a normal fan consumes 70. I can use a BLDC, direct brushless DC motor technology, where a 70 watt can be brought down to 28 watts for the same performance. The biggest saving is when I use electrical gadgetry when I want it and to the extent I want it. I can have lighting linked to daylight. India has abundance of sunlight. Today, most of the complexes being designed by all these eminent architects are using a lot of daylight. Can I link the lighting to daylight? It will sense the amount of sunlight coming into the room and dim the lights to the extent that you get the light that you want. So energy saving, simple, 40%, smartly used, 50% plus.
That's fantastic. Mr. Raheja, do you have a developer's point of view to this conversation in terms of saving energy and creating an experience through automation?
So, Sumisha, first of all, I love what Polycab has to show. I think it's one of the first few Indian companies. I know there have been a lot of people in this game, Honeywell, Schneider, Samsung, a lot of people are entering this. But it's happy to see an Indian company, or at least a company of Indian origin, who's bringing products, which are IoT products or smart home products. This is an idea whose time has come. In fact, I've been one of the early propagants, of home automation. I got home automation done in my house about 10 years back as a pilot project. It was a disaster. And I am pretty tech savvy, but I could not for the life of me get my servants or the old people, anybody who's beyond a certain age group to use things. And of course, the implementation of it through the wiring and a centralized relay system, it was just too painful. Every time there would be any issue, the electrician wouldn't understand how to deal with it. Thankfully for us, the whole world has changed. Right. There are today companies across the globe who are creating fans which are Wi-Fi enabled or IoT based. There are fans, there are lights, HVAC, cameras, curtain control systems. Everybody is working in a direction where they're making them smart by making them IoT enabled or Wi-Fi enabled, let's say. They're all talking to each other. In fact, if you talk about Apple has introduced something called the Apple Home Kit, which has now become a sort of a universal standard where they're saying that every manufacturer in the world should have that Apple Home Kit logo. And if it has that logo, you can use it with your Apple-based devices. I think this industry is seeing so much change as well as demand. So when 10 years back, this all was happening, I said, let's push this in the market. Let's see what the consumers have to say about this. They were not, the mid segment didn't bite, but the luxury segment did. I think people who are of a certain age bracket and who are not technology averse, and also people who are bungalows or villa kind of developments more than apartments, are the first users of this kind of technology. And it's a technology whose time has definitely come. I think in our villa, farmhouse, bungalow sort of projects, wherever we are doing, this is definitely something that we can use or our customers would prefer to use. However, having said that, just one more point. This technology is something that people are doing DIY, do it yourself. People are buying Wi-Fi bulbs, they're buying Wi-Fi air conditioners, heaters, geysers, everything. And then they're trying to integrate it together, with Apple HomeKit or Android-based system. But I think what Polycab is doing here is fantastic for developers, because this can be a one-window solution where we can just tell one party, guys, you take care of this. These are 100 villas, just fit them out, explain the clients how to use it. So congratulations to these guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nayan. That was really insightful. Before I get on to Ms. Bhagwati, I just want to remind the audience that if you have any questions for the panelists, you can put them down in the chat window and I will take them once I've finished with Ms. Bhagwati. Ms. Bhagwati, we've all spoken a lot about energy efficiency, but what I want to know from you is from a designer point of view. Does smart automation make your job easier, more difficult, more interesting? How does it help make design function better?
It was, I think, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago that we first sort of dabbled into home automation. And, we always used to have building management systems and all for larger commercial buildings.
Right.
But at a home level, it was the first time we really dabbled, and it was unknown territory for me as a designer. Mm-hmm. And I think it is from one project to another that one has learned and understood the full impact what home automation can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what is the most important is that, let's say 8-9 years ago, when we talked of automation, even a lot of people who had the money for it would have one Jeeves who would do exactly all that, what the home automation was doing, So they said it's so much easier to just, my guy knows what I want. Before I come home, my geyser will be on, my lights will, everything that I need, my guy knows and he will do it. So there was a lot of dependency in our Indian way of life on domestic help. However, now trends are changing, lifestyle is changing, and I think one is increasingly getting into more nuclear families, smaller families, more self-dependent families. And that is the reason why the acceptance and, I would say, desire for home automation is increasing, and which is a very nice trend. But home automation needs to be what will really help the lifestyle of a user, not just because it's smart or trendy. That is what is most important. So you have a lot of things like, okay, you could put your food for cooking before you come home, 2 hours before, you can put the oven on, you can do a whole lot of things. But in an Indian home, probably that may not be so, required.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that as a designer, it is very important to understand the lifestyle of your client and actually then start sifting out what is, sort of probably not that relevant, and what is really important that will help and make the life more sort of easy, and more comfortable. So that is really what, as a designer, one has always attempted to do. And I have to admit, we have also learned, there was a time when, we sort of looked at the automation, lighting, etc. for a home. And then we said, oh my God, this is working out to be a little expensive. So why don't we cut out the balcony? Why don't we cut out the dresser? Why don't we cut out, So we cut out a whole lot of things and we gave just the basic to the client. And then what we realized is that when the client is lying down, he suddenly realizes that the bedroom lights are off, but the balcony light is on, the dresser light is on, some other light is on. So you have to actually get up and go to 4 different places to switch off 4 different lights,
Yeah.
So we realized where the lacunas were, what we needed to do as designers. And we really needed to put ourselves in the shoes of the user and see what really will work for them. So we have over the years sort of learned to understand what each person would like and what will help them. And mind you, it's not the same for everyone, It doesn't even go, sorry, yeah.
No, that's all right. You can finish.
So I said it doesn't even go from one economic segment to another. Even within an economic segment, there are huge amount of variations, So that is what the challenge is. Now, in some homes, security becomes very important. So the way the entire security system gets integrated, that has become a main point, In some homes where the user is probably not so tech savvy, it's very important how the whole architecture is presented. So whether it's on an iPad or a phone, it has to be as graphic as possible. So mindlessly, what needs to be done. So what is important is to simplify things and make sure that the smart home becomes smart by making things easy for the user rather than complicated and tech savvy.
Absolutely. In fact, there is somebody in the audience called Abhilasha Kumar who has this question where she asks that, can we relate to IoT as affordable for middle-class families? What do you have to say about that?
I think what Polycab has right now presented, I'm very pleasantly surprised that they are really good budgets, and I guess any middle income housing can definitely afford a lot of such features as a part and parcel of their offering. So I think but you can get, sky's the limit. You can do 100 things. Today, whatever can talk to your integrating main hub, you can integrate into the system. And it's limitless, from your AV to your lighting to, anything that you may put in, any gadget you may put in can be integrated.
Absolutely.
But idea is that when you're looking at a budget home or a mid-income housing, I think introducing some of these features as was presented by Polycab may be a pretty good idea, where you are getting rid of a lot of the wiring. Maybe wiring, when you go forward, it may be important and it may be required. It's probably required. But for a small, simple budget solution, it's a pretty good offer to eliminate some of those costs and just give a limited package, And it just gives you that little sort of a feeler into, a smart home. And also it's very aspirational.
In fact, I would like to ask Abhigyan this, that, we're talking about different classes of people, etc. What about people in smaller towns, tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities? What is your take on using automation in, people and projects in smaller cities and tier 2, tier 3 cities?
I feel they are more aspirational because first they call an architect from Delhi that mera ghar bana do. फिर उसके बाद they will expect that we will educate them about what is happening. So you'll have to understand, they look up to someone in a big city to educate them. As architects or designers, it's our role to explain them this is what is important and this is what is not. And like Sonali said, do what is required to that local context. If someone if someone doesn't need a certain kind of a thing to be done, it's not that just because it's available, you have to do it. I feel like everyone has an iPhone or a Samsung phone today. So someone feels that it's a basic and you will not have a keypad phone. Similarly, in automation, I feel going forward, it would be something that it is mandatory that this much must be provided, or this much integration is mandatory. Beyond that is fancy. So going forward, any Daikin air conditioner will have an option which is integrated into it. So all the devices that's been produced at a very basic level. So and Havells will produce a fan that can communicate. So that is given. I feel that we've reached that stage, that we've passed that zone, that every device will have to have. They also feel that it's necessary to communicate. It's up to us that yes, how much do we want to use it. So like you should have like a basic set of call to action in terms of all keyless entry doors, locks. So all B grade, C grade town, it's nothing. It's like कि ये तो होना ही चाहिए if you are building
also
a house.
The security point of view, right?
Yes, if you're building a house, the basic 10 pointers have been taken care of. So because your light bulb can be dimmed for sure with your phone, whether you know how to use it or not, that's a secondary thing, but that functionality is already embedded in the
it's a prerequisite. There is a question from the audience for Mr. Verma that says, during these times when we hear a lot about IoT devices getting hacked, risking privacy of users, how are you making your devices secure? This is by Shruti Modgal.
We have incorporated that. We have studied that. So for example, I have an apartment and I download the Hohm app and I configure my home, which is not only lights, fans, geysers, but I also have integrated the audio video door phone, the IP cameras, and the smart door lock. It is possible, it is going to be possible for me to create a closed network of me, my wife, and my two sons, which is password protected. So it is only the four of us who will have access to the electrical gadgetry in my home, irrespective of where I am. Nobody else will be allowed entry into my. We are doing enough.
It's as secure as any other device.
It is as secure as any other device. So that is something which is a feature that the Hohm app will offer, where you can create a closed niche and a closed mesh network of you. For example, me and my wife are working, we are not at home, the house is empty. I can give access from wherever I am sitting, only perhaps to my relative whom I'm expecting to come. Security from an IP standpoint or a IT standpoint is something that we have incorporated onto the app and the platform.
Amit, do you have something to add to this? And could you share some of your experiences of working with smart automation?
Firstly, like Mr. Verma said, it's based on password. And if you want to hack it, you can hack any single thing on this planet. Nothing is because usually people's password is password. This is a password created by a lot of people. So, and they use same password. So I think hacking is one thing which the onus is on the user, how smart the person is and how smartly they can use it. And so, Misha, sorry, what was your second question? How we have used it in our projects? Okay.
Yeah, you could share some experiences.
See, the thing is, of course, like I was speaking about data collection. So data collection is very imperative in terms of creating a smart home. It can be in terms of either landscape or in terms of facade lighting, lux levels, because, I think we are living in a world where optimum is a very important word. So everything has to be optimized according to our requirements. Either is the amount of light which you require to sleep or the speaker volume, the amount of water. So I think, so what we are doing is, of course, trying to create this circular economy and a closed loop where you're trying to, see, the thing is for us, it's really a lot about sustainability. Anything and everything we do in the office, it has to end up with sustainability. So we are, of course, using smart technology to create a sustainable environment, because the biggest onus for us is not to really help someone turn on and off a TV. Which, like I texted you once, it might just make people obese, because people might just become lazy without, these few steps which they take. But it's about, the future. Architecture, which we are creating, these buildings will stay, we will be gone. And we need to think about a sustainable tomorrow. So for us in our projects, it's all about the bigger picture. Of course, the smaller things are also there where the apartment is automation controlled and the optimized things are there. But it's really about the whole picture, holistic picture. And even the data on the app will be displayed in terms of the entire community as a whole, where you see the entire energy consumed by the community. So let's say if it's a 10-acre project with, 3,000-4,000 flats. So you see as a person, like how sustainable you're creating a footprint on this planet. And people are getting more and more conscious about the legacy which we are going to create for the future. So it's about a bit more bigger picture rather than just the apartment as a single unit.
I absolutely agree. In fact, Mr. Raheja, would you like to tell us what kind of projects are you working on where you're using automation? And is there like an understanding of what is the minimum size of a project before you kind of decide the kind of automation that you use for it?
So to be very honest with you, initially we had launched a couple of projects where we were offering this. The first stage that we did was we started offering this as an optional kit. But these are the times I'm talking about when there were wired systems, and you have to understand the penetration of this technology, and the understanding of this technology is still not so widespread and so prevalent.
Right.
We are the privileged lot here who are who know how this thing works, and some of us are even using it at our homes. I, for one, have been using most of these things at my home, but nobody in my family, they always tell, man, you put on the music in every room, like I control the entire house, the homes and the farm's music. So initially we started it as an option. Then we tried one project where we were giving it as a fixed sort of a thing, in a project. But today I understand that technology has reached a point where, the people who want it are really going to get it. And there are people who are just completely averse to this kind of technology. And as far as I understand, because it's not a wired system anymore, it's a Wi-Fi based system. All you need is IoT based devices, which are freely available. And as far as I know, the price difference is between 5 to 10% from a conventional, like if you're buying a Wi-Fi air conditioner or a Wi-Fi bulb or a Wi-Fi fan, there's not as much of a big gap anymore. So most people I know now, they're doing it in a DIY fashion. People are buying Alexas in their home. They're setting up multi-room music. Earlier you used Sonos for doing something like that. I think it's become a more DIY thing. So only in cases of very high-end villas or bungalows, that's the place where we think that we should be providing this as a built-in sort of an option. But for apartments, I think there are just far too many people with far too many varied thought processes and age brackets. So, that's not, we may give it as an optional package, or, maybe we are running a sales promotion that, we are going to give you 2 lakh worth of IoT enabled devices to run in your home. That's how we are doing it. It's, as you understand, it's Wi-Fi enabled now. So from a developer perspective, the thing that we can control is having good fiber optic connectivity till the site. And the second thing is building management systems. That's again something that developers are investing in, but that's again more in commercial complexes. I think it's similar to the home automation domain, but a lot of people are reducing energy costs in commercial buildings by using automation. I wouldn't say home automation, but I think that's a space where there is a lot of money to be saved. I mean, I've seen shutters coming down, light being controlled at certain points of time in the day when the sun is up, and that can have huge benefits. HVACs turning off, lights in staircases turning off when you're not using the staircase. Those are, I think that's the sustainability part of things which can really make a difference. Home automation, I'm a big fan of home automation since the beginning. I wish more people started using it, and I wish Polycab would also configure their systems to work with Apple HomeKit, because I think that's one of the universal standards to control everything. Encryption levels are fantastic, security levels are fantask, and that's where the world
has something to say. I'm going to come back to that, but yes.
Yeah. No, to your point, Nayan, on compatibility, yes, we want to create a platform which is open-ended, can work with anything that is available across the world. We do not want to create anything which is proprietary or which limits the consumer in terms of the versatility. So that's clearly on the program. You mentioned about a little bit of an enterprise solutioning of energy management in larger complexes. I mentioned about this acquisition that we did yesterday. Now, this is an organization which works with builders. They are specialists on builders, and they're extremely strong in the South. So they're doing projects with Purvankara, with Prestige, with Shobha, with builders of the sort. And they are offering solutions for all common areas, which starts with access control, gets into IP camera, gets into day linking, gets into occupancy sensors. In the apartment, they offer solutions for gas leak sensors. So the enterprise piece is something that we would start right away, having acquired this company. So in the next 60 to 90 days, you will see a portfolio of enterprise solutions also under the banner of Hohm. Incidentally, the name of this company that we've acquired is Silvan, Silvan. And they have been in this particular domain of automation for the last 10 years. They are hardcore technology doctorates and PhDs with the pedigree of Texas Instruments and Lucent. So we're going to be offering that, yes.
That's fantastic, Mr. Verma. I think what Nayan was also trying to say, Sonali, is that the ball is in the court of the designers, and it's the designers who really need to be integrating these smart automation systems into the homes. Do you have something to say about this before we wrap up and take up questions from the audience?
The designers are, as I think Abhigyan had said earlier, that a lot of times the client is looking at a designer as a person who's holding their hand through the whole process, And one of the duties of the designer is to educate the client. And this is definitely a field where the designer needs to take things forward. Again, as I said, not only because it is smart or it is a gizmo-like thing, but more because it is going to help in many other ways. First and foremost, the wellness and comfort of the user.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, definitely at a larger scale, I'm not looking at a luxury apartment or a luxury villa scale, but I'm looking at a larger scale where you can bring in energy savings. And that is something which definitely, like, for example, your elevator controls, your common area lighting, your shades, a whole lot of things can start getting integrated, which can lead to a lot of energy savings, which is very imperative. So I think as a designer, to lead the client in the right direction is very important. But as a designer, I have to also say that what works with a client are only two things. One is if you make it sound really nice and aspirational. And second, when it hits the bottom line and you land up saving money. So these are the two aspects that work with clients. So we have to find these two aspects and build them into our story to see how things can happen for any particular project. And as I said, every project will be different. There are no set solutions. So it's different strokes for different folks, whether it is commercial, residential, different categories of residential. So, a home with a lot of domestic help will have different requirements. A home with no domestic help will really have very different requirements, So it all needs to come down to the fact that can you save a domestic help in the home by introducing a few things, or can you save, in your electricity bills or whatever. Yeah. So you have to help build your story based on costs and aspiration both parallelly. And that's when it sort of works.
Absolutely. I get you. I'm going to get on to the questions. There are a lot of questions coming in from the audience for all of you. So let's just take a few before we wrap up. So there's Meghna Vijay who wants to know that what if the Wi-Fi is on and there is no internet? Will the system still work? Mr. Verma, do you want to take that?
Actually, I can also tell one thing. So
yeah, you can give the user perspective.
Yeah, if you want to use the fans and the air conditioning and everything, that will still work because it's using a closed network. But for example, if you're using multi-room music, which is streaming from, let's say, a YouTube or Spotify or something, that won't work if the internet connection itself is faulty.
Prakash Khadshe, he wants to know how is the reliability of the products reassured and what is the service network that you have to offer?
See, I mentioned perhaps in one of my first few slides, I mentioned that this is a new technology that we are presenting to consumers. So we are aware that there are going to be a lot of questions and there's going to be a lot of inhibition in terms of chalega ki nahi. I mean, I'll be very candid here. So what we did was before we launched the portfolio, we ensured that we've created a service network across the key cities in the country. And we have trained service technicians who understand what the product is, understand installation, understand even configuration of the products onto the Hohm app. So we have a service setup ready. And this is a service setup which is not a typical after sales service, which means fail hoga tab main aunga. No. From the time you make an intent to buy, these are people who will help you understand what the product is, help you design it for the home, for the functions that you need, create a bill of material, help you buy it, deliver it, install it. So that's ready. That is something that we're going to offer.
That's fantastic.
So we are very clear. In certain cities where we are focusing, we will give installation free when it is individual consumers buying at retail level.
That's in fact amazing. In fact, like Mr. Raheja also said, what is really interesting is that all Polycab products are made in India. So, definitely something that you can expect good service out of. There is a question for Amit. What are some of the best practices in blending these smart devices and traditional architecture and traditional design? This question comes from Shruti Motkar.
Yeah, actually, traditional architecture of India was super smart. We were using shallow water bodies, thick walls, mud walls, jalis, looking at wind direction. So integrating is two very different things. One is more formal. When I speak about traditional architecture, and this is more technology, which is it's ethereal, so it's not really physically there in reality, apart from some switch controls. So I would say how we can integrate it further is in designing. Of course, at the design stage, we look at these aspects and of design in terms of wind direction, solar, and everything else, which can be used to create. I'm sorry, I'm a bit not clear exactly about this traditional versus new, because traditional, either we are speaking about retrofitting, then it's different. But if it's just a traditional architecture, then they are very different things, different platforms. So one is more physical and one is, of course, digital. So these two things can be easily blended into each other.
And like I think Sonali also mentioned, a lot depends on how the space is going to be used and ultimately the purpose of the space as well. I think we have a couple of more questions, a lot of them coming in, but we are running out of time. So should we get on to the quiz then? Maybe what I would suggest is that the questions that are coming in would probably be emailed to Mr. Verma or the panelists whom they're being addressed to, and then they could be respond on email. Does that work for everybody?
Sumisha, people can just put in their questions on the chat, and I have my colleague Devanshu, who is actually the kid who's designed this entire portfolio and platform. So he's the best man who will answer all the questions, whatever that may be there from all the delegates.
Great. So let's get on with the quiz. I'm just going to quickly tell you how we're going to play this is we're going to ask a question out and it's going to be flashed on the screen. The first person to give the right answer will win this hamper by Polycab, which is a smart home hamper. To give more people the opportunity to win, only one prize per person will be allowed. So fastest fingers first. So get your answers in the chat window as soon as you can. So the first question is, your existing non-smart appliance device can be made into a smart device through which home product? You need to mention which home product can be used to make this conversion. Do we have an answer? Shall we go on to the second question? Okay, the next question is, Home Smart Automation Solution Package for a 1 BHK starts from rupees. Wow, that was really quick. We have a lot of answers for that. Okay, this is the third and the last and the easiest one. Home Smart Automation product portfolio includes fans, appliances, lighting, switches, and accessories, air blaster, and smart plugs. Just say true or false. I wish I was a part of this quiz. I want to win that hamper too. Okay, I think we have the answers, but before we announce the winners and while my team gets on to announcing the winners, I'd like to invite Bibhor to please come ahead and place the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a really insightful discussion and I look forward to being in touch with all of you. Over to you, Bibor.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, in fact, I was just enjoying the quiz so much so, and I was also trying to, answer it. It's so very interesting. I think it's a great discussion. I think it's a great, discussion. I think everybody in the audience is still with us would have devoured the session. I think it's a great trinity of success, if I may say so. Smart homes, smart technology. I think it's all there. How I think lots of people echoed that, saying how smartly you use. Sonali very clearly, how smartly you. What it meant for your client? Are you saving the cost, or is it the aspiration? I think the pillars of it has to be like the wellness and the comfort, and more important when you look at the large commercial projects. Srishti, you also keep the answers ready, so Misha, you can announce. But ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me. So I think I got very impressed with one of the properties from ITC. They are known for being sustainable in terms of responsible luxury, they call. And I went, many years back when ITC Grand Chola opened. And the whole mechanism of the entire room and accessories were managed by a handheld device. This is many years. They were the first ones to do in the country. All the lighting, your fans, and even the housekeeping will come and ring a bell. And so it was so very convenient to use. Imagine in a large commercial building as well, the amount of money and energy saving that a facility head would make by using these technologies, so the connected lighting. I think, Mr. Verma, this smart home, home as a product from Polycab, from the house of Polycab, is definitely going to, make a huge impression. And I think I, for one, is very, very excited to, shoot my orders as well, because I think, it fits in everybody's pocket. I think so. Another lady asked, is it meant for the middle class? Yes, ma'am. I think there is a versatile range of products that Polycab has to offer. I think at ITP we are very proud to co-create this very credible and meaningful platform where you see the discerning designers and even the developers and the solution providers, which is like a trinity of success, if I may say so. If you hold hands together, I think there is a great occasion that this country will see some of the smartest products like from the Polycab itself. And I think I want to immensely thank everybody, attending and being a part of this discussion. And Polycab, Mr. Verma, for your time, Sonali for you, Nain, Amit, Bigyan. I think it's great listening to all of you folks, and Mr. Rajak, very, from this platform says, yes, he's a big, supporter for this, for smart home. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to buy. And I think I'm already, a pro guy for sure. I mean, I was always dwarfed with technology, let me say that. And the kind of technology embracement and adoption that we are doing in the media is absolutely mind blowing. So Srishti, can we have, or Amrita, can we have the winners, please?
The winner for the first question is Mr. Sachin Manda. Winner for the second question is Miss Megha Vijay. And the third winner is Mr. Shan Pothe.
So many, many congratulations, and you would get to hear quickly, and you will love your products for as much as how much we love Polycab for bringing this, path-breaking technology. Ladies and gentlemen, a big thank to all of you for joining us and taking time out from your busy schedules to listen to our eminent panel. And the thread of this discussion continues. We just finished 2 cities, Mumbai and Delhi. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your confidence. Thank you for support and attending to us. I think Sumisha will do all the honors in, capturing the entire content and making sure that the next issue really captures the true sense of smart home. And of course, should you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay well. Thank you, and bye from all of us here.
Thank you.